Hey guys, this is Melody, and today we're doing another large painting like last week. This one, again, is another subject matter that I'm not used to painting, but it was a commission, so yeah, I did it for my mom. I still really enjoy painting skies. This way, it's not super detailed, but you kind of just let the water flow and do what it wants to, and it kind of just creates its own little clouds. I think the one thing you have to be careful of when you paint the sky this way is not to over mix things. If you go too crazy with the pink and the yellow and the orange into the blue, it'll kind of turn brown. So I have a tendency to over mix things and really want to blend things out, so it was one of the things I had to keep in mind while painting the sky, not to do that and just kind of let the colors go where they want, have some areas that are darker. And then once it's dried a little bit, I like to add some water on top of it to kind of, is it called blooming? I think, maybe? But it just kind of gives it that effect of clouds. You can kind of see it now that it's zoomed in a little bit. So this painting is of the Seattle Skyline. And you'll notice later on that not all the buildings are exactly what you would see in the Seattle Skyline. I was not going to go into that much detail. That would have taken forever. This painting already took a while, and I did not want to put every tiny detail in and have every building be exactly what I saw on the reference photos. So I did not do that. I ended up just kind of doing blocks and just having the general idea of the city. For the Space Needle, the top of it has actually been a lot of different colors over the years. I think right now it might be white, but the reference photo I was looking at and some other ones that I saw was from the 50-year anniversary, and during that time it was actually painted with evergreen trees on the top, so it was green. So I went with that, and I also liked that the green stood out a little bit more. With white, I feel like it's hard with watercolors because you leave empty white space there. So I wanted to be able to put something on there, especially with the way that I did the sky. Doing white would have been a little bit more difficult. I could have gone in and taped it or used, I forget what it's called, but it's that white solution thing that you can peel off that just kind of protects the area and keeps it from getting paint on it. But I wanted to incorporate the green, and I was able to incorporate it into the buildings later on so that it felt a little bit more cohesive as well. So like I said, this is not something that I've ever drawn before. I don't really ever draw cities or buildings or anything along those lines. I've had to do a little bit of that in art classes, but for the most part, they were just sketches. They weren't very detailed, so I don't have a lot of experience with it. So I definitely did do some practice. I will probably post on Twitter when I post this picture, the picture of the thumbnail I did. And when I say thumbnail, it's just a smaller version where I kind of got an idea of how I wanted to do things. So in that case, I have a watercolor sketchbook, so I painted in there. I didn't go as detailed in there because I just kind of want a general idea, and that's kind of what I did for the mountain one as well, to give me an idea of some of the techniques that I found useful and things that just really did not work, because the first time you paint something or draw something, you're going to discover a lot of things that you don't like, and if you can get those out of the way before you do the final piece, that's always great. I do have to say though, I did enjoy drawing the Space Needle, or painting, I guess, because I have been there a few times, and I remember when I was little hanging out in Seattle and memories there. I think the first time that I was ever taken to eat up at the Space Needle, I actually fell asleep. I don't know how old I was. It was like 5, 6 maybe, but there's pictures of me asleep at the table in the Space Needle, which, I mean, you pay quite a bit to go eat up there. But I guess I was really tired. And I've gone a few times after that where obviously I did not fall asleep, and the food was pretty good, but it's still so expensive. And for those who don't know, it does rotate. I haven't been there in several years, but the platform actually rotates so that you can see all of Seattle as you're eating. Obviously, depending on how long you've been there, you'll see more. And it's really fun to go at night for dinner, especially if you can catch a pretty sunset. So I've done that before, and a lot of people, what they'll do or you know, the kids and teenagers anyway, they leave notes on the ledges of the windows because the platform is spinning, so you can pass notes while you're eating dinner. So I thought that was great. The second time I went, first or second, I don't know. I've been a few times. But it was funny to be able to pass notes. Some people would do like, do you like cats or dogs better? And so you would have people tally and write which ones they liked better. And if you were there long enough, you'd get your note back. But if you weren't there for very long, then you would never see the responses to that. Anyway, back to the painting. I think this is the painting where I really discovered like mixing colors. I did for the mountains as well, find ways to mix green and stuff, but here I managed to mix like a teal, and I'm realizing that I was never really taught how to mix colors. I mean, you know the basics of like blue and yellow makes green and stuff like that, but as far as making different browns and that kind of thing, it's not something that I've ever really taken the time to learn or ever been taught. I've only ever taken an art class. I think I took one in high school, 2 or 3 in junior high, and then one in college, but a lot of them focused on graphite drawing. The one in high school did and the one in college did. And the ones that I did in junior high, it was just random projects and stuff, so we didn't really learn color mixing. So it's something that I am trying to teach myself now because I think it would be a useful skill and just generally good to know how to do. There's another painting that I'm going to start working on soon, and it's an acrylic piece, and the canvas is huge, so stay tuned for that. It'll probably take a while to get the video up just because it's going to be so large, but it's going to be 3 foot by 4 foot, and I don't want to have to go and buy a bunch of different colors because that's going to get expensive with acrylic paints. So what I did is, if you have been watching my vlogs, I bought basically just the primary colors, 2 blues and then a black and a white, so that I can mix my own colors. So last night I spent some time just playing with colors and mixing them and learning how to get different shades and stuff because, well, it would be really expensive to just buy every single color that you need, and like honestly all you need are the primaries. Though if you get different shades of red and blues, you can obviously get different colors when you mix, so that's something to consider, but honestly it's not necessarily I can't talk. It's not necessary to have every single color known to man. And that's something that I've seen with some paint sets. I think especially the Arteza brand has been going around. A lot of people have been trying those out, and their sets come with like 60 different colors, which I think is cool, but maybe a little bit unnecessary. But if you're a beginner and you don't know how to mix colors, I think that could be really good and really helpful, and quite frankly, I don't really feel like I have a handle on mixing colors. I'm getting there, I'm learning, but you know, definitely not quite there yet. So back to this painting, I definitely did break some watercolor rules. I used black, which I feel like you're never supposed to do, but I did have a black watercolor and I wanted to get some parts on the Space Needle really dark and crisp so that it stood out against the other buildings. And that's part of the reason I didn't put a lot of detail into the buildings in the background, is because I wanted the Space Needle to be the focal point, so I wanted it to have more detail than anything else in the painting. So again, the sky, it's not a lot of detail, kind of just let the water do its thing, and then the buildings are just kind of general shapes with some shadows and stuff. And for the shadows, I mixed, I don't even know what color, it's like a grayish teal color. I think I mixed like the dark brown and then the cerulean blue and maybe some yellow, and you get like this kind of dark teal color, which I think is really pretty. Definitely playing around more with colors, like I was saying, just I think it's interesting to try to get all those different colors, but sometimes it's hard to know in your head what colors you want unless you're looking at a reference photo and you say, okay, this is the color I need. But when I'm just doing a random painting, I tend to just go for straight colors that I already have in my palette. So it's one thing that I'm trying to work on, is just being more colorful and mixing colors, which I will definitely be focusing on with the acrylic piece. So definitely stay tuned for that if you're interested, and maybe I'll make a whole video on mixing colors once I feel like I've gotten a handle on it. Anyway, with that, this piece is basically done. So definitely subscribe if you have not already and you enjoy this content. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video and are looking forward to the ridiculously large acrylic video that will come hopefully in the next month or two. And click that bell so you can be notified when I put new videos up. I will see you guys in the next one.